Today, I'm going to be going over a Canadian growth stock that I think has great potential. As you can probably tell by the title and the thumbnail, that stock is Aritzia, ticker symbol atz.to. I actually invested in this company on my personal account on Wealthsimple Trade, and so far it's performed excellent. Recently, Aritzia released financial results, and they were so good that the stock price went up 20% in a single day, which is obviously nuts. It wasn't quite 20%, but it was just below, like around 18. And you're probably wondering, well, what does this company do and should I invest in it? Well, basically, to start off, Aritzia is a women's fashion brand that is extremely popular here in Canada among the younger generation. They're also expanding into the USA as well. That's kind of their main goal right now, is to get more locations in the USA. They have some already, but they're really trying to work on building into the USA since the market is obviously a lot bigger than the Canadian market. It's actually kind of a funny story how I found out about Aritzia. I was at my local outlet mall, and the two lines that were packed were Aritzia and Nike. Obviously Nike's solidified in the space of clothing, and everyone knows what Nike is. But I'm like, oh, what's this Aritzia store? It's usually pretty busy when I come here. Um, so I was like, okay, I'll look into this, and then I realized that they actually have a really solid team behind their company. And I actually then invested like a week or two later after I did a lot more research on the stock. And then once I actually put money into the company, I started seeing their products everywhere in my life. Like, I'm a university student, so everywhere I go around campus, I see girls wearing Aritzia coats, Aritzia products everywhere I go. And Aritzia is also trying to start dabbling in the men's fashion space as well. But I honestly don't know how well they'll do in that category, because I really believe that their bread and butter is with the women's fashion. But then again, we have seen other similar companies like Lululemon, which is another women's clothing company. They started in the women's space just like Aritzia did, and then Lululemon successfully transitioned into also selling men's products. So there's no reason that Aritzia can't do it. And with the team behind Aritzia, I wouldn't be surprised if they actually started doing decent in the men's category. But I do still think the woman uh, part of their business is going to be the dominant revenue earner for sure, as they're so well solidified and dominant in that space right now, especially in Canada, where I'm from. But another thing I like about this team is that they kind of strategically positioned in the fashion market between everyday luxury and sub luxury, or in other words, their products are, they're pretty expensive. They're not cheap by any means, but they're also not as expensive as your Gucci and Louis Vuittons. So, they're expensive but affordable. So if that kind of makes sense. Just remember, this is not financial advice. Make your own decisions and do your own research. But I do believe Aritzia does have a lot of upside potential for major growth over the next few years, and I believe the team has set Aritzia up for being, a major Canadian and worldwide clothing phenomenon. So, with that being said, there are some analysts that agree with me. The analysts from Yahoo Finance either rated Aritzia a strong buy or a buy in October, November, and December of 2021. Obviously, the price has gone up since then, and they haven't released the data for January yet, as we're still in January. But with that being said, I do agree that it is probably a decent time to buy the stock. Maybe wait a little bit to see if it goes down, but I never try and time the market. I just try and get in a company I believe in, because I'm horrible at timing the market. And if you dollar cost average into a company, then it kind of evens out anyway, in my opinion. But right now, at the time of the recording of this video, Aritzia has a share price of $59.75 and a PE ratio, or a price to earnings ratio, of 49.72. So the PE ratio is kind of high because a lot of people do believe in this company, and they're kind of planning on it being successful, which is why the PE ratio is that high. But it's still not that bad of a PE ratio. And with how successful a company Aritzia can be, I still think the stock is at a decent price you can pick up right now. Aritzia does not currently pay a dividend, as they are more focused on expanding into more retail locations throughout the USA. And I would personally rather them focus on growing the business than paying me a dividend. I am completely for companies not paying a dividend if they have good morals with it, and they have a strategy in place that I do agree with, and I do believe Aritzia does. I do think it will be better for investors over the long term for Aritzia to focus on growing their business, as opposed to not really expanding at all and just keeping the stores the same and paying it that dividend. I think it's better for them to use the extra money that would go towards the dividend and put it into expanding their business. Now to answer the question, should you invest in Aritzia stock? Well, it really depends on your situation, and I know that's a cliche answer, but obviously it really does depend, and it's the truth. If you're in student debt or have debt for anything, I would recommend that you pay that off first before investing, and then you decide what your risk tolerance is as well, because everyone has a different type of investing style. I like to take some risks sometimes, but I also like to make my safe place first before I take that risk, and make the safe place with a larger percent of my portfolio than maybe the riskier place. I don't think Yahtzee is too risky of a play, but obviously it does hold a lot more risk to it than an index fund like VFE, for example. I do invest most of my money into blue chip companies and index funds before buying, growth stocks, just because growth stocks do have a little bit more risks associated with them, because they're usually the smaller market caps as opposed to like Apple and Google and Microsoft and other huge major companies. Obviously, with greater risk comes greater reward. But it really depends on your risk tolerance, and you guys have to figure out that. I can't really tell you that, but I can just recommend you invest in index funds or safer stocks, like bigger market cap stocks, maybe like Apple or TD Bank stock or CN Rail stock. Those are some ones off the top of my head I think are pretty safe. But if you guys just want to buy Aritzia stock as your first stock, then that is up to you, and you make that decision. I'm just kind of explaining what I do as an investor, and I'm no expert by any means. I'm just an 18-year-old who just started investing. I've been learning investing for like about a year now, and I'm no expert by any means. So don't really listen to me. You kind of learn on your own. That's the best thing you guys can do, and make your own strategy off of what assets you have and your situation. Thanks for watching, but just before I wrap up the video, if you guys are interested in buying Aritzia stock or any other stocks in Canada or America, then I have a link in the description to a simple trade. It is a very beginner friendly app to use, and I'm 18 years old and I personally use it and I love it. It's kind of aimed at the younger audience, but also if you're a part of the older audience, then it's very easy to learn and it's very useful. Um, it makes it very easy to get started with investing if you haven't started anywhere else before. And this has options for like tax-free savings accounts and those tax-advantaged accounts, which is also great. If you use the link in my description and sign up with it, you get the value of 2 free stocks to begin your investment journey. Anyways, thanks for watching. If you guys enjoyed this video, consider subscribing. It will really help me out. I make videos on investing and finance, and you guys can learn along with me. And I'll see you guys in the next video.